This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Well, what's going on, everybody? Time for the Monday Night Raw review on this 18th day of February 2025. Welcome to the show. Welcome to some fun wrestling talk, I hope. Hope it's a little bit of an escape for you for whatever you're doing today, whether you're at work, whether you're about to go to work, whether you're coming home from work, whatever the case. Or maybe you're staying at home by yourself with the kids, whatever. This is your escape. It's my escape. I know that. This is my escape to just talk wrestling, talk about something that doesn't really affect my real world. You know, work, life, stress, money, all that. This is just my time, and it's hopefully your time. Not that I'm here to give you a lullaby and let you fall to sleep, although you can if you want. This is time to talk wrestling, as you would imagine, and we're going to get to that and just talk about Monday Night Raw. We're going to talk a little bit about Elimination Chamber, a lot of consequences from Raw that affect the Chamber. One of them being the Seth Rollins victory over Finn Balor, which is to be expected. You do wonder what the hell they have in store for Finn Balor now that he's not in the Chamber and now that he doesn't really have a clear path to WrestleMania. Exactly what is in the cards for Finn Balor, we don't know. That is certainly something that is going to have to be analyzed over the coming weeks. If you're a Judgment Day fan, particularly of Finn Balor's, exactly what they're doing. Seth Rollins in the Chamber is, again, it's a predictable victory for him to get into the Chamber, but as most of us expect, and I guess spoiler alert, it's unlikely that Roman Reigns ends up screwing Seth Rollins somehow in the Chamber to pay back what happened at the Royal Rumble with the double stomp on the outside. So in all likelihood, Seth Rollins is out. You have a lot of other potential competitors, as Triple H put it on his X account. He said, some newcomers and some veterans here in the Elimination Chambers now that they are fully set and ready to go in less than 2 weeks. I would imagine there's going to be a lot of, maybe a fatal four-way match or some kind of six-woman, six-man tag team match that could pit the babyfaces against the heels, that kind of thing over the next coming weeks to fill some TV time and build anticipation for the match. And one that I think is going to be really entertaining, particularly the men's side. Many of you may not like Logan Paul on any level, but objectively, he's going to make that match better from just a pure entertainment perspective. We're not really invested in his character emotionally yet. That'll come for better or worse, but it's really about inserting him in there to, number one, get him some exposure, but to also really up the physicality, up the craziness of the match. I just hope that Logan Paul doesn't end up hurting himself or someone else in that chamber with the things he can do and that he's capable of. It does scare me a bit knowing that he puts himself sometimes at an unnecessarily high risk of injury. So there is that to look forward to or not look forward to, as the case may be. But either way, even the women's match does look entertaining as well. You have some newcomers, you have some vets, as Triple H said, and we'll talk about the Elimination Chamber matches a little bit down the road here. But let's get into the first things first here, and that is Monday Night Raw. We'll start right from the beginning, as we do here every week, and we had William Byron, Daytona 500 winner, who he pulled out into the parking arena. Again, you could put him in a lineup. He could walk into my house, and I would have no idea who he is. Kind of par for the course for me with any kind of entertainment, current celebrity or musician. It's not exactly my forte, but okay, William Byron climbed out. AJ Styles, I know him. He climbed out of the passenger side and gave Byron a replica title belt. And then Sami Zayn comes out, and Zayn flexed his neck to sell the package pile driver from Owens, and a Sami chant broke out. Sammy said it had been a rough couple of weeks, and he doesn't know of two wrestlers who have been tied together as long as he and Owens have, and in a relationship as long as there's a lot of betrayals. Well, actually, no. That's not what happens with long-term relationships. In fact, long-term relationships are usually built on trust. So there's that. But sure, in pro wrestling land, that's probably true. But in real life, no. However, he said here's to lots of forgiving, but not this time. And he said that Owens tried to end his career, and the problem for Owens is that he didn't get the job done. He recalled saying Owens would be at the Chamber, and Zayn said he's going to be there too. That's when Adam Pearce comes out with a mic and asks Zayn what he's doing. And he told Zayn the answer is no to having a match because of basically the liability for the company. And Pearce said Zayn is not medically cleared and apologized and exited. He then called for Pearce before he could head backstage, and he eventually convinced Pearce that he's not going to take no for an answer, and that Pearce said it's true that he's known Owens and Zayn for 20 years, but he can't sanction the match. Pearce asked if Zayn wanted him to do something he's never done before, and Pearce spoke about the violent things that Owens could do to Zayn and added he would not be able to stop him. And Pearce said there's no referee to enforce the rules. He said the risk is all Zayn's and it would be for very little reward. Even if you win this thing, you still lose. He spoke about Zayn potentially having a final match at the Chamber and asked if he understood. And Zayn left the ring. He went face-to-face with Pearce, and he got his unsanctioned match at the Elimination Chamber with Kevin Owens. So for me personally, this match is coming a month early, or really 8 weeks early. But I'm not sad about that at all. In fact, these two, for a fact they work well together. They work excellent together as a team. They work excellent together as opponents. So them here in a match at Elimination Chamber makes sense, even though it's unsanctioned. Now, just because they're having a match here at Elimination Chamber doesn't mean that it automatically exempts them from having a match at WrestleMania. Because having a match at WrestleMania, as we know, doesn't mean that that we haven't already seen the match recently. I mean, look at Damian Priest and Jey Uso, for example. I thought that match wasn't going to happen at WrestleMania because, it just happened. But nope, we're getting it. So just because Zayn and Owens are having a match now, unsanctioned, at Chamber, doesn't mean that they can't build to another one at WrestleMania and potentially maybe Hell in a Cell. Maybe Hell in a Cell for Zayn and Owens. Maybe that's where this thing ends. And you know what? I haven't really given that much thought, but to me, if they want to build this a little bit more, and given it's an unsanctioned match, which means how do you win if there's no referee? You don't. It's just whoever beats their opponent, more senseless wins, if there is such a thing. And that is what builds to WrestleMania. So the more I think about it, the more that this is just a precursor. It's a chapter in the book that leads to WrestleMania for Zayn and Owens that could end up in Hell in a Cell. I haven't heard anyone else talking about that. It's something I just kind of thought of on the fly. And these two, given the fact that they have such a long history, Hell in a Cell is deserving of what these two have gone through over the years. So that's my thought right now with where these two are going. And hey, that there's no issue with anybody having these two face one another. There's just the chemistry is off the charts, and they're going to put on a hell of a show. But if they don't put Zayn and Owens together for WrestleMania, I do fear that they will be put in some they'll either be left off, which doesn't seem likely, or more likely, if they don't face each other, they'll be put in some kind of, multi-man match for the Intercontinental title on the Raw side of things. That's what I think will happen if they don't put Zayn and Owens together for WrestleMania. All right, so we then have the Judgment Day Clubhouse where Dom told Liv that he heard Belair and Naomi were looking for her. Morgan said she wanted to talk about him instead, and Morgan said Dom will beat AJ Styles, and Dom talked about adding a new member to the faction and noted that whenever he mentions the idea, he gets yelled at by Finn. And Finn asked if someone said his name. Balor said there would be 3 members of Judgment Day at the Elimination Chamber because Morgan qualified. He's going to beat Seth Rollins. And then he told Raquel Rodriguez that it would be embarrassing if she lost to Roxanne Perez. Not a good night for Finn predictions, I have to say. But Rodriguez told him she would handle her business and then told Balor to handle his. Balor got serious and told Dom there would be no new members. Carlito was in the room, made his exit with the men after Morgan told him to go, and then footage aired of iShow Speed talking about being speared by Breakker. He said he had a bad headache and thought he was going to die. Well, yeah, it looked like you died in ring. So, all right. We then continue with AJ Styles versus Dominick Mysterio. This match, let me look at the time here. I'm curious. 8 minutes and 50 seconds. It did feel a little bit quick here. AJ beats Dominic with the Styles Clash. After the match, Braun Breaker comes in. He waited for Styles to turn around, and I actually thought he was going to hit the spear on Styles, and he didn't. Styles stepped aside, and it allowed Breaker to spear Dom. And that allowed Styles to then hit a jumping enziguri that tossed Breaker to ringside. Breaker removed his shirt, threw it at Styles, who caught it, which is kind of funny. And then Styles looked at the Intercontinental belt that was in the corner, and Breaker grabbed it first. So, yeah, fine. It was interesting that Braun didn't actually get the spear on AJ. You could to really heat this program up. He hit Dom. Not that Dom is going to, have this kind of magical force awakened inside of him from this spear, but it's one that could allow Dominic to be in the conversation for the Intercontinental title. Even if no one wants to see Braun Breaker versus Dom, if you throw AJ into the mix, you could have Dom versus Breaker versus AJ if you want to have some multi-person match for the Intercontinental title. So I'm fine with it. I feel kind of neutral. It's just weird that Breaker speared Dom. Because its focus I thought was going to be on just AJ, but I'm not hitting it. I think it's fine. No complaints from me on that side of things. But okay, so then we had backstage, Julius and Brutus were laughing while bragging to Ivy Nile about what they did to the War Raiders. She thought it was funny, but then reminded them that they all promised Chad Gable they would have gold when he returns. And Dakota Kai was walking through the arena for a moment. Ivy Nile was in the ring. So we get a match here. Dakota Kai versus Ivy Nile. This is for a shot at the Women's Intercontinental Championship. This match lasted just under 7 minutes, with the finish being Dakota Kai stomping Niles' head into the mat and then hitting a GTK and got the clean victory. And then after the match, after Dakota Kai beats Ivy Nile to get a shot at the women's IC belt, Lyra Valkyria comes in, holds up the belt while looking at Kai. They build this as a rematch of the finals in the tournament that resulted in Valkyria beating Kai to win the belt. And that's a good way to sell it, because otherwise it feels very cold. I bet you a lot of fans forgot that was the final. I did. So when I heard that, I go, oh, yeah, cool. Okay, we've seen these two wrestle. A little bit of the history there, a little bit. So fine. Like anything you can build on. Cold matches are never usually a good place. It's not a good place to be. They happen, and they're a part of wrestling, and I don't need every match to have a crazy backstory. But if you can pull on anything, you do it. You do it to try to get people's emotions somehow involved, and that's what they're doing here. And I just like that I was reminded that it was a rematch of the finals. All right, so a video package that aired that led to Jay choosing to challenge Gunther for the world title last week. And so there was that. And then we have Gunther standing at a concourse surrounded by fans who are chanting Yeet. Gunther walked into the arena, stood at the top of the section where Jay normally comes in, and he encouraged fans to pump their arms. And Gunther said that performing for the fans is like reading Shakespeare to a dog. God, he's great. He said he's sick of entering the ring with people who can't lace his boots. That's 100% true, by the way. He said he was hoping that Jay would make the right decision, but the fans gave him a false sense of confidence and forced him to dig his own grave. And then he came down the steps and talked about how the fans smell and said he outclasses Jay in every aspect of the sport. I mean, no lies detected. No lies detected. Gunther is just a straight shooter here. I love the Gunther character so much. He's just a pure wrestler. He's not interested in entertaining anybody. He's not flashy. He doesn't have a crazy entrance. It's very matter of fact. He's professional. He's about competition. He's a legit badass. He knows who he is. He looks like a throwback wrestler. He's got all the damn tools, and he's not just looking the part. He has played the part and played it well. Gunther is easily and could easily be the face of a company. He could easily be it. Now, who's the face? Of course, Cody is. But Gunther, I don't think, is talked about enough. All right. So Gunther told the fans that Jay's blood will be on their hands. And to be honest, he told the fans to also be honest with themselves and question if they really think Jay can beat him. He dropped to the floor and said he wanted to get a professional opinion. And he got into the broadcast table and he asked Michael and Pat McAfee, do you really believe that Jay has a chance to beat me at WrestleMania? McAfee eventually said yes. And it looked like he was going to, maybe attack. Gunther was going to attack Pat McAfee for saying that. And that's when Jay comes out. And the referee stood in front of Jay. And Jay teased, listening to them, and then darted past them, slid in the ring. And that's where the explosion happened. Security guards, referees, producers, the usual crew come in the ring to stop Jay. Of course, security, i.e. the local wrestling talent dressed as security, end up taking a bunch of bumps, and Jay broke free, got a shot in at Gunther, who went to ringside, and then Gunther was barking at Jay while the producers ushered him to the stage, and Gunther teased running past him, but of course he didn't. Really good. This is a good segment. This is as good as you can expect this program to be. This program, while it to me, it was not Jey Uso who I would have picked to win the Rumble. I still don't think he's the right choice, but he's not a bad choice. See, there are good choices, great choices, and okay choices. I think Jay fell in the good choice. I don't think he was a great choice to win the Rumble. Is it very predictable that he's going to probably beat Gunther at WrestleMania? Yes. Yes, it is. And the fact that we just saw this match takes a lot of the anticipation out of the match at WrestleMania. Even if they do have another 7 weeks to prepare and build and talk, and they'll do as good of a job as they can. If this week is any indication, Jay and Gunther, I think, may even have me excited. By the time WrestleMania rolls around in a month and a half. So, this is a program, again, that is predictable, but this is the kind of stuff that you need to do, and it was executed very well. Do I need to see a pull-apart brawl with security getting their ass kicked every week? No. And they should probably next week do a sit-down interview, via satellite interview, something like that. Or just not have them both on the show and do a video package. I know that's not fair to if you're in person, you feel it's not fair, but for the at-home crowd, I think it's also something that would be acceptable to build this program forward, to change it up, not always have these pull-apart brawls. So, good stuff. I have no complaints about this segment at all. And by the way, the other thing that they're trying to sell, which I don't buy at all, because it's just incredibly predictable that most likely, although not 100%, Jey Uso wins at WrestleMania. They're trying to sell the narrative that Jey has no chance, and does anybody really think Jey Uso can beat me? They have to pick a path. It's the only path they can choose. But Jay saying, everybody's saying I can't beat Gunther. Well, who's saying that? Who? The writers are telling you to say that. But the fans aren't saying that. They all know you're most likely going to win. In fact, they're saying the exact opposite. But the story they're telling is that he's the massive underdog. Not exactly an original narrative, but one that is safe. It's a safe storyline. And I wouldn't go crazy, and I'd stay the safe road. Go the safe route. That's fine. This program is just fine. I can't describe it any better. It's just fine. It doesn't get me excited. It doesn't really necessarily bore me. It's just fine. Let me know how you guys feel. Email me, mailbag@wwepodcast.com. I'll put it on the show for our mailbag on Fridays. Then we get Penta versus Pete Dunne. 10 minutes and 40 seconds. With Penta, of course, beating Pete Dunne. Penta's not losing anytime soon. The finish was Dunne barking at Kaiser to stay out of his business. Penta then ran Dunne into Kaiser, which knocked Kaiser off the apron, and then Penta hit Dunne with a Penta driver and pinned him. That's it. Yeah, I mean, so, one thing I was thinking about too, whenever that next round of cuts come, maybe post-Mania, Pete Dunne scares me. He's, after being Pete Dunne, then to Butch, back to Pete Dunne, he's worked with Sheamus, sure. He's good in the ring, but the personality just doesn't seem to be there. He's got, and I'm just calling it a spade. While he could, he's I think a really good in-ring worker, and I'm not crapping on his game. I'm just telling it like it is from a visual perspective, which is important in his line of work. He looks like a kid. He doesn't have the it factor when you look at him. Like, he may wrestle the part, but that intangible star quality for Pete Dunne just isn't there. I don't know. He's just like a blank slate to me. Again, nothing on him on a personal level. It's just how I feel looking at him. I don't know if he needs a haircut. Something needs to change with him visually for me. I don't know if it's his gear. He looks like like a junior or senior high school kid when he's out there wrestling. Not that, again, his athleticism is not at that level. His athleticism is top notch. It's just that his visuals of how he looks and how he carries himself, it doesn't feel like star to me. Just one man's opinion. But this match here with Penta and Pete Dunne, I mean, hell, you're looking at two guys that are, lightweights. If there were division, these guys would be, maybe middleweight, probably lightweight. And they work well together, fast paced. The Penta driver, I'm becoming more and more a fan of, although one wrong slip and, you're paralyzed. The Penta driver, man, I hope he doesn't try to do that on anybody that's, a lot heavier than him, because you're asking for trouble. The Penta driver is if you haven't really looked at it, it's a really nice maneuver that is legitimately a finish. And Pete Dunne took it like a champ. So, all right, after the match, Kaiser comes in, attacks Penta, and then Dunne pulled Kaiser to the floor, and they traded punches until Penta dove onto both of them. So Penta continues to get good reactions from the audience, by the way. He's continuing to connect with the fans, and that's a good thing. I'm still of the belief that anybody post Rey Mysterio will always be compared to Rey Mysterio forever and always, any luchador. And so Penta does have that looming over his head and will forever. But Penta is carving his own path. Unlike Ultimo Dragon or Dragon Lee or, any of the other luchadors who have kind of come and gone since Rey Mysterio's been in WWE. Penta's got a different feel to him and as a luchador, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You need to differentiate yourself completely from Rey Mysterio if you ever want to be able to walk out from underneath that cloud of being always compared to Rey. So Penta's momentum continues. And that's good. So Jey Uso was then interviewed by Kathy Kelly backstage. Jey was flustered. She asked him how he felt confidence-wise, and Jey said people doubted him. Yeah, again, this whole doubt narrative. And he said and say he can't beat Gunther. Well, no, we only said that the last time because the timing was wackadoo. This time, no one's saying that because we know the stage, we know the story, we know you're the Rumble winner. We know, like, no one's saying that this time, Jey. No one. Okay, would I have now if I were booking this? I'd have Gunther destroy Jey Uso. I mean, it wouldn't be a squash, but it would be another decisive victory for Gunther. It's WrestleMania, so they're not going to do that. But that'd be me if I were the booker, or as they call it now, what a creative. Yeah. All right. So at ringside, Cole said the question is whether Jey believes he said what he said, or if he's trying to convince himself. And then Roxanne Perez video package aired, and let's see here. War Raiders Eric and Ivar had a video promo. They spoke about how the Creeds took them to the limit last week, of course, because everyone takes everyone to the limit, which I hate. The reason I hate that is you're not disrespecting your opponent. You're completely. What you do when it's said or shown that everyone takes everyone to the limit is we're all on a level playing field. That's not what you want in sports. You want a hierarchy. You want a hierarchy so that when somebody who has no business beating someone else who's way up higher wins, it's a shock. It's a total shock. And instead, almost every match is everyone kicking out of finishes, near falls. Oh my God, they almost won. And yeah, the person who should have won did, but boy, they almost lost. They got taken to the limit. Well, why? Why do you need to do that every time? So I don't like that just pervasive thought process that everybody needs to take everyone to the limit all the time in every match. I'm not saying squash matches need to happen on the regular occasion. They don't need a Braun Strowman year-long squash match fest to build the guy. I know that does get old. There's been monsters who have come in that I think they've done it for too long. But occasionally there's just be kind of a decisive, like, okay, 4 or 5 minutes in, boom, finish 1, 2, 3, over. It doesn't need to be a 2-minute squash. You can do 5, maybe 6, 7 minutes and have it just a decisive victory. It wasn't that hard fought, you know? So anyway, as I was thinking too, I wonder when Bronson Reed's coming back. He's somebody who interests me. All right. So Roxanne Perez was in the ring and they did some video footage of 2K25. And we had Raquel Rodriguez versus Roxanne Perez. This is an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. This match was 7.5 minutes with Perez beating Raquel in 7.5 minutes after hitting Pop Rocks and got her victory. So every time I hear that, I mean, she had to have clearly named it after the 1990s candy that we all love. They still have it today, but it was really popularized during the 90s. And you can just open your mouth and hear the popping. Can you not? Yeah. Anyway, you 90s and maybe 2000s kids know what I'm talking about. So good match. But after the match is really what I'll talk about here. Not just Roxanne Perez qualifying for the chamber, but Belair and Naomi, who are wearing cheerleader outfits now. They're wearing cheerleading outfits. Does this get worse for Bianca? Okay. Y'all are in your late 30s. Why are we wearing cheerleading outfits? I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening. It's all about, I know they're trying to bring the story about Jade Cargill's attacker back into the fold, which fans are going, oh, you know, as I've said, fans are reminded, oh, I totally forgot about it. I mean, most fans probably felt that way. And now we're supposed to believe that Liv and Raquel had something to do with it because there was footage shown of them leaving or walking around the scene of Jade Cargill's attack. That doesn't really, of course, prove anything, but that's the idea, that there are suspects. they are red herrings. I don't think Liv or Raquel had anything to do with it. That's just my take. But these cheerleading outfits, I thought were just. My question is why? Why? What are we doing? No. Again, nothing wrong with if you're trying to be funny or if you're younger, but when you're in your mid to late 30s and you're still doing cheerleading outfits, even again as pro wrestlers anyway, it's a little bit past your time, I think. It doesn't seem like it fits with either of their characters other than, hey, we're a tag team, let's look the same, and they came up with cheerleading outfits. I don't know. Bianca needs to get the F out. Bianca or creative, I am begging you to take Bianca out of a tag team. She's been in it for 48 years now. She doesn't belong. You have a WrestleMania main eventer, legit WrestleMania main eventer, and you've put her in a tag team division and put her in the tag team division prison and threw away the key. You haven't even allowed her to escape. All right. Let's continue. Karrion Kross and Scarlett show up, and Kross said he knew Sami Zayn would see this eventually because he keeps a close eye on Rollins, and Kross mocked the idea of Jey Uso thinking he would beat Gunther. Of course, Karrion is playing the dastardly imaginary fans that think that Jey can't beat Gunther. And Gunther... Rather, Kross mocked the idea of Jey Uso thinking he could beat Gunther, as well as Rollins qualifying for the Chamber and eliminating the Invisible Man, John Cena. All right, so we then get an Io Sky promo video, and she was in some water, which was interesting. And she spoke about her title match with Rhea Ripley and said she will take her rightful spot at the top of the women's division and punch her ticket to WrestleMania. New Day come in the ring. And they were recapping. Cole recapped highlights from last week. And Woods said, "Get well soon, Ray," after they beat him with a chair, which was great. Kingston said they don't get that the fans don't like them. They don't get why. And then they tried to ask for a chance to speak. Kingston said he's won more titles than Ray. He said he's been with the company for 19 years. And the difference between him and Ray is that he never left. Kingston said he should be the locker room leader, not Mysterio. And Woods said the Audacity forced their hand last week. And Kingston said the fans should thank them for showing Ray mercy. And Woods said the fans should thank them for not taking Ray out back and giving the old Yeller treatment. That was fun. I mean, they were at the level that they should have been in consistently for the last 2 months since turning on Big E. They were the team that I want them to be on a regular basis. They showed that again last night. Unfortunately, they do this and then go back into obscurity for the next 4 weeks. So the LWO then come out, and Dragon Lee comes out with Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro, and Lee spoke in Spanish and then explained that he said New Day sucks. And the LWO trio ran to the ring and cleared Kingston and Woods. And that was that. So LWO versus New Day for the time being seems to be where we're at. No Big E yet, but he's still mentioned by the announcers. So perhaps they're doing that to keep the idea that he turned on Big E, they turned on Big E, fresh in our minds. All right. Kathy Kelly caught up with Bianca and Naomi, who spoke about next week's match and possibly meeting in the Chamber. And let's see here. So, Rollins and Finn Balor, main event. This match was nearly 20 minutes. And rightfully so. We've seen these two main event before. We've seen them work together before in non-main events. And they could main event a PLE. While Finn Balor's character has been kind of on the ups and downs and relevant, not relevant, you're reminded how freaking good Finn Balor is when he's in the ring. Now, being the fact that he's across the ring from Seth Rollins doesn't hurt at all. I mean, Seth Rollins is already a Hall of Famer in his own right. And putting these two together, you know what you're going to get. And we got exactly that. Just incredible matchup here. I loved it. Seth Rollins beats Finn Balor in 18 minutes and 45 seconds exactly to win with the stomp. And just great. So that was a really fun main event here. Again, as expected, nothing earth-shattering in this matchup or on this episode of Raw, but things just progressed steadily, nicely towards Elimination Chamber. So that's the focal point here. Chamber, who's going to win? Who's going to main event WrestleMania with the champions? Of course, that's at the forefront of all of our minds as wrestling fans. So, all right, looking at some other news here, and didn't Triple H introduce some like independent belts? I thought I saw that. Some like it belts or something. I could be wrong on that. One of you are gonna be like, yeah, he introduced. I mean, you guys need to keep up on this stuff. I could have sworn Triple H did, but I'm trying to find some other items here. And let's see. Oh, Triple H reveals WWE LFG titles, how they'll be won and defined. Okay, that's what it is. So last year, this is according to Wrestling Inc., the WWE ID program was announced, serving as a way for the larger wrestling promotion to help future development of talent on the independent scene. In the months since, a number of matches between WWE ID recruits have taken place across various promotions, and Triple H has revealed another aspect of the program, a set of WWE ID championships. That's what it is. So this is Triple H's tweet. He said, quote, "The top independent wrestling prospects have been ID'd. And now we're ready to spotlight the best of the best. Here's your first look at the men's and women's WWE ID championships." All right. So that's kind of cool. Again, stuff you would never see with Vince McMahon. I mean, just there's no chance. None. And behind him, very cool. I have to say, his the background of Triple H, even more than the new championships that he's introducing to spotlight those on the independent scene, which is it's kind of cool. I enjoy that. Is the belts behind him? Some of the classic belts, the evolution of the World Championship, the WWE Championship. It's quite awesome. I would love to have that as a back. Like I would love that in my office. If you see Triple H's background in this post, he's got all a lot of the old championships, Intercontinental title, the old WWF Championship, the Winged Eagle, the Attitude Era Championship, the Undisputed Championship that Brock Lesnar prestigiously held, the just totally loathed Spinner Championship, and then The Rock brought back the WWE Championship with no spinner, and then it evolved into what we have today with what Cody Rhodes is carrying. So quite a hell of a background. So I know I should be talking about the post, but his background is actually what I'm more focused on because I'm jealous. Oh man, I wonder what that retail cost would be if you were to just buy these championships, replica championships, the deluxe version off of WWE Shop. I mean, that's got to be like what, 10 grand, maybe more. And if you bought the real deal versions on the website. Anyway. My question, though, is how is this going to work? Maybe the details haven't really been ironed out, but whoever holds these belts, can they come and go from the independent scene? I mean, they're marked. They're like earmarked, like cattle. They've got like this tag on their ear, and they're being marked as being owned by the company. I don't know how this is going to work. So it's interesting. Can they kind of come in? Is it like a pass to come in, like a hall pass to come in and out of the company as they wish? I don't know. So details to come, but something that obviously I don't know if Vince McMahon ever would have done. All right. Well, that'll do it here for the WWE podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me here on this Raw review. I will be back I don't know, maybe I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday. I have another podcast I'll be telling you guys about it has nothing to do with anything I've ever really talked about in the show. I'm hesitant in sharing it. It's actually not anything really even controversial. It has nothing to do with any kind of political agenda or anything, although I have a podcast I haven't updated in a while that is that one. But it's not even a podcast. I should say it's just Patreon exclusive that I've been working on, and I'm hesitant to share it, yet I'm still kind of like telling you about it in a way that because I'm struggling with sharing it because it's not anything to do with wrestling, sports, politics, nothing. It's totally uncontroversial, but it's just a different interest that I haven't ever really expressed to you guys at all, ever. And I don't know how much of a crossover there'd be for a Patreon that are interested in this topic. So I don't know, maybe next time I'll share it. I've got a nice base here that I feel like I'm not utilizing if you're interested in the same thing. So stay tuned for that. I may put out something on X or on this show about what that is and what it entails. So it's not a podcast though. It's more of a Patreon exclusive. So all right, anyway, thank you so much, guys. If you want to go on Patreon for this show, you can get everything ad free at patreon.com/WWE podcast, or you can go to Apple Podcast and get everything ad free there. Good place. Good stuff. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.